Ceremonies. Awarded his bachelor's degree from David University in 1968 and his master's of education in 1971. After coaching at Harrison High School in 1970 and 1973, Tom took over the reins at Reading High School in 1973. His 8-year tenure at the school resulted in 2 regional and state AA championships. AA regional semifinalists, district champs, district runner-up, HCN division champions, and tournament champions. His team at Reading has 23 wins per season. Individual honors for Tom include the Cincinnati Post and Enquirer and HCN Coach of the Year, 1974, 78, and 80. 3 years there. Coach of All Ohio Series, 1974. He was inducted to the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame in 1995. And now, Tom is currently principal at Aiken High School. give you our Master of Ceremonies, Tom.
Thank you, Pete. Pete said to me about an hour ago, I hadn't seen him in a while, and he just said, boy, times have changed. I'll be honest, I don't know if they've really changed for the good for me or not. I think things were a little better off when I was just a coach and athletic director, but I don't really have anything else to do with my life at this point, so I might just keep moving on. Really, I'd like to thank Ken Conrad. Ken called me a while ago and asked me if I would be the Master of Ceremonies tonight for the program. And, one of the reasons that I would do this anytime, one of the reasons that I'm here tonight is because of an introduction of one of my former players, Mark Swanner, which that's a great thrill for me. I've had several players go into the Reading Hall of Fame that I dealt with and coached, and I feel grateful to the committee and the people that put this program on, because it's a great program year after year. Before I get to a couple of things, I'm not a great storyteller. Most baseball people are great storytellers, but I really kind of have a Hall of Fame story. And not too many people know this story. Several days ago, I was Mark's going into the Hall of Fame, and I've kept pretty good records over the years of all the players. If someone asked me how many times did Mark strike out in a certain game, who pitched, I kept individual games, and I have all those things down the basement. For events like this, when people will call and he has some statistics, and between the time of 1973 and 1981, I have records on every player that played for me at any time. Same thing as before I came here, and also when I coached in college. And one of the unique Hall of Fame stories is Reading. You notice there's an individual that was inducted, I think, into the first Hall of Fame class here at Reading. It's Claude. Everybody knows Claude's background, and he pitched 57 state championship team, had a great career in pro ball, and I think he's still coaching in pro ball somewhere. And I don't know if this is the same at the Reading High School, because I haven't been up to the gym lately. They used to have, as you enter the gym, they had all the pictures and the plaques and some of their athletic heritage there. And we had won a trophy or something in the tournament. Might have been tournament champions. And I had a couple of players with me. One of them was Rick Fry. Guy Wilburn was a senior then, was with me, and we were trying to put a place for this trophy. And there was, if you ever noticed, if you remember, there was always a Claude Osteen's glove with his name on it. It was there. Ron Butter shaking his head in the background. Everybody just walked by there. So I was kind of looking and we put it in, and I made the great statement. I said, boy, that glove's in great shape, isn't it? For all these years that it's been in that trophy case. And I looked at these guys and they started laughing a little bit. And what happened was that Willie was a left-hander, and I believe the strings broke on his glove sometime during the season. And as things do happen, they went into the trophy case on the way to a game or practice, and they borrowed Claude's glove for a while and used his glove. And put it back in there. And I kind of, after I heard that, I kind of looked at them and I didn't know what to say. So I guess I hope Claude's glove's still up there. I hope Wilbur never put his glove back in there, because they had a lot of errors in it, so that's the case. But I really appreciate being here. Let's move on with the program. First of all, I'd like to introduce Coach Ken Miner. Ken's a long-time football coach here, and obviously had a great team this past fall, and we're on the verge of the state Final Four in their division, and had an outstanding year. And I'd like to introduce Ken for the Blue Devil Award presentation.
I'm honored to introduce our Hall of Fame Blue Devil Award. Rich Morgan graduated from UC with a business administration degree in management. He went on to Xavier University and obtained his master's degree in business administration in 1969. He has worked as manager in the following businesses: Cincinnati North, Cincinnati Royals, Cincinnati Gardens, Riverfront Coliseum, the Covington Landing, the Ohio American Cancer Society, and his present job at the Castanelli Company as Human Resource Manager. He was asked by athletic director Jim Wright to become our announcer back in 1986. He has done so for the past 16 years as varsity football and varsity basketball announcer. In our estimation, there's not a better one in the city. Some places you go and their homers all the way, and they just look at the home team. Richard doesn't. He is great. Once in a while, we can criticize him plays and kids turn microphone off, and I don't know that against him. For an announcer, he has always attended our practices because he wants to get to know the players and coaches better. And when he pulls up, we always announce affectionately, here comes a key moment. Because we always feel like he's always checking us out. And how like Paul Brown used to do with the Bengals. He also has a great sense of humor. He never misses a chance to pull a practical joke on either the players or the coaches. One of my favorites was during basketball season, the Saturday morning after a tough 1-point loss. He came to practice and wound up in that game. Our point guard, Nick Grippa, happened to miss a free throw. Actually, it was 2 free throws, so we're down by 1 point. And he felt terrible about that. Nick is a great kid, he still is, and he's one of Richard's favorite people. But Richard never missed a chance to get on Nick because he liked to get on him too. So it was right about Christmas time, and so he came to practice that Saturday morning, and things were pretty warm there. And he brought this beautiful round present for Nicky. And so I said, what's that for this morning? He saw the present for Nicky. So they went ahead and practiced, and finally practice was over, and the whole team came over to see what Nicky got. And he said, open it now this morning? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And he opened it up, and as it started opening, the whole team crowd around, and they looked. He said, oh, Mr. Morgan, we gave him a break. So, that's the kind of things Richard liked to do. So we have a lot of things to do with coaches too, but we won't go into that because I promise the coaches I won't do it. Richard also has been more than an average supporter for us. Not just an announcer, he's been a great supporter. One year after our 11th fail, we were supposed to get these real beautiful blue game pants, but we didn't have the money to do it. Richard heard about it, and out of his own expense, he went out and paid for all these blue game pants, gave them to us right before the first game. And that's something that he had been known to do. Even though he didn't have any more on the team or anything like that, he just really loved our team. He also volunteers to take a lot of our players to college visits. We don't have transportation. He also is taking on a role as team photographer. Now, every away game, Richard takes his camera to stand on the sidelines. Now, a couple times I had to point away from some officials, but he does a great job of photographing our kids. And every week afterwards, he gives us some pictures, and I pass them out to the kids, and they go crazy getting these pictures. And most of all our players have testified that some of these are lasting memories of the season. I go on and on about all the nice things that Richard has done for our team, for our program. But what it comes down to is he has a big heart. And he's willing to do anything for anybody in any organization he's affiliated with. I consider Richard a great friend and represents everything that's great about high school athletics. The tribute for service personifies what is the Blue Devil Award all about. Our 2001 Hall of Fame Blue Devil Award goes to Richard Morgan.
you give an announcer on my microphone, you can say a few words. I can't help that. But I do have a few notes on just to go over. And I really, this is a big night for me. This is a great school with a lot of great athletes in the school. So just being here as part of it is certainly a privilege. Shaun was in the class with my daughter, so I know Shaun fairly well. And as Tim said, tight end cross, and this guy could have made a living on that tight end cross, but he caught so many passes and did such a great job. He was a darn good basketball player also, he really was. Johnny Vance over here is one of the toughest kids I've ever seen in high school football. John was tough, he was hard-nosed, maybe even a little mean at times, but he was a great player. And one time over at Deer Park, I thought maybe Tim mentioned, he had racked up about 250 yards or something like that. And I'm sitting next to John, and then when Dirk says, you need like 6 more yards to break the school record. John, you want to go back in? John goes, what gives? I'm not going back in. I mean, that's the kind of guy, that stuff didn't mean anything to John. He just came wrapped up, he didn't even play anymore. That's the type of person he was. But boy, he could play. He could play both ways as well. When I got started here about 16 years ago, Jim Wright called me up one day and said, you want to do the announcement? Something happened. Sure, I could I really enjoyed it. But I started off with work with the Boosters, Jerry Burns, the Burdines, the Currys, the Nomies, Kathy Ellison, and Jan Tigger Ross, people like that. And those people have done a great job for the school. Really have. And one special note is Chad Veteran has done more than any person I've ever seen work for the school. He's outstanding. When I'm announcing the football game, Danny Sherline was sitting back here and helping me for maybe 12 or 14 of those years. And Andy and I are good friends. We also root very hard for the Blue Devils. We get a little excited once in a while. There's 38 seconds going first half, and we're on our own 5-yard line, and then decide that we can score from there. We're trying to tell him to take a knee if he wants to score. And if he throws a pass, we're walking out. And sure enough, there's a pass. I'm telling you. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Also, I want to thank the City of Reading. The City of Reading, we got a really beautiful place to play over. That field is Jim Rice, the city college field. That is really outstanding place. I mean, we've gone to a lot of fields. You go to Wyoming, at the dump over there in Wyoming, and you go to there, that's a figure. I mean, it's like playing on the X-set. So, anyhow, thank you, Dean, for putting up with me for the last 2 or 3 years. And I appreciate that very much. As far as Ken Meyer's concerned, I'm going to say things about a couple coaches. Ken is great with the kids. He has the patience of Joe when it comes to dealing with those kids. I mean, he does an outstanding job. I support him all the time. But I can also, he knows that, be one of his largest critics, or, but he knows it's coming from me. It's just not Charlie Irwin yelling and screaming or something like that. So I go to the practices, I get to know the kids. I try to see if they do good or do whatever I can. When we go to the weight game, Andy and I, we never miss a weight game. I take pictures, I yell at the officials. I always tell Ken, you take care of players, I'll take care of the officials. And then one of the officials bring over one day and say, hey, you're the photographer, it's killing me, get that guy off my back. Ken says, Richard, that knees up, we're going to get it done. But I just want you to know this guy does a great job. And this season was one of the nicest things I've been involved with in all my life. And I've been involved with NCAA basketball tournaments and big events and Davis Cups and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, following the Blue Devils this year to those different playoff games is absolutely one of the nicest things I've ever done. When I do the play calling and stuff like that, I try to be as impartial as I can. But occasionally, as my wife says, I start changing the inflection in my voice, and she can tell when I'm getting upset. Like I might say, once again, Finneytown runs up the middle for another 8 yards, and then I'm saying, Dingle, stop them from running up the middle. But So I get upset sometimes, and I really get into the game, but, you get caught up in it. You've got to be in part of it. You do get caught up in it. You hope to move up and never game. Sometimes I want to recognize some of the athletes. When I introduced Johnny Martin, who's coaching our reserve basketball team, doing a great job. Johnny's a fine young coach. Well, I introduced Johnny as a former Reverend Gray head coach, Johnny Martin. And about the 8th, 10th game season, Johnny said, Mr. Warner, I really love when you say that. He says, I said, it's true, and I just want to give you a little credit. I said, I did the same thing when Carol Matson would come here with Finnegan. He goes, oh, yeah, now, how did you introduce her? I said, I would say she's ready as all-time leading scorer. And he said, no, that doesn't sound right. Him being a guy, her reading her upset. But as far as Ken's concerned, the football program is a great year. This guy works very, very hard. Rich Benson's not here tonight, our basketball coach. And Rich Benson, nobody puts in more time on their sport than Rich Benson. I mean, he's nuts. But one time I walked in the cafeteria with him heavy guarding the column, post. He said, "You're guarding this column." And he's crazy. Bruce does a heck of a job. They had a great season this year, and I think we're going to have another good season next year. So I'm looking forward to that basketball. Last week, I want to talk about the Tik Engel. Tik Engel is one of Annie's and mine's favorite. We sit up in the booth, and Tik starts yelling and screaming. His arms are flailed up and down, and we just sit there and say, look at Tik, that big guy over there. He's great. Tik Engel is a good football coach. But really, as far as the wrestling goes, I think Tik Engel and Ray must have the best wrestling coach in the tri-state area. Because Tik Engel is the best in wrestling. I think just like to thank my wife, Jane, been married to her for 32 years. She allows me to do this announcing. I'm going a lot of Friday nights between the end of August and mid-March, or mid-February. She knows I really enjoy it. She knows I really like it. It keeps me off the streets. It keeps me young. I really enjoy it. I do like taking pictures of the kids. And this year with the playoff, I was spending about $50 a week on film developing it. And we won 4 playoff games. So it was a little expensive, but it was really fun. And I thank James for allowing me that time. I just want to say it's been great. I really love these coaches. I really love these kids. I want to help them do good. I want them to be proud of themselves. I want the Blue Devils to win every game. It's an honor to be here tonight. And I'm very appreciative of the Blue Devil Award. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Listen closely to what Richard had to say, and we have something in common. I was the voice of the Reading Blue Devils in football and basketball in my tenure here, but I would venture to say that he had better help in the press box than I had with Bob Belton and Ken Newland. So we can move on, and every Friday night, and they'll probably remember this, I don't think they're too old, at 5 to 8, that's when they play the games at 8 o'clock. I had to make an announcement with Bob Belton and Ken Newland, please report to the press box. And as they struggled in there, as the referee was starting the clock, their comment every home game was, got stuck by a train. I'd like to introduce this time Tom Bemis to present the proclamations. To read at least one of the proclamations for all 10 candidates.
Thank you.
Reading Schools, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I would also like to take this opportunity to help the people who put this together and put in all the time and energy and effort to do it. I'd like those folks to stand up, and anybody who donates their time back here, tonight you need to give them a great big round of applause. I'd like to also thank the city for all their support and all the things they do for us. And I'd like to congratulate each and every one of these guys up front. I'm not going to read all 5 proclamations, just one. And I have to pick up the first one. It's Mark's. They're all very similar, but on behalf of the Reading Community Schools, we present the Sports Hall of Fame. Whereas Mark Swanner was graduate from Reading High School in 1980 and an outstanding football and baseball player. And whereas his teams won the league baseball title in 1978, 1979, and the state in 1980, and the 1980 football squad won the league title. And whereas he was baseball team captain in 1980, all league 1978, 1979, and 1980, as well as second team All-State. And whereas he was football team captain in 1980, all league in 1978, 1979, and 1980, as well as first team linebacker in the city. And whereas he was a 4-year baseball starter at Wright State University, leading the team in hitting doubles and RBI in 1982 and 1983, and was team captain in his junior and senior seasons. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Reading Board of Education expresses deep appreciation and gratitude in recognition of his service, and that the Reading Board of Education does hereby publicly acknowledge, on behalf of the entire community, the appreciation, respect, and esteem for Mark Swanner and all of the other inductees. As each of them come up, they will be presented this proclamation from the Reading School Board. Thank you again.
I'd like at this time introduce the elected officials of the city of Reading. BeReal could not be here tonight, and I would like to start off reading a letter that he sent to the Hall of Fame Sports Committee that's addressed to Ken Conway. It says, "Dear Ken, due to a prior commitment, my wife and I are unable to attend the 2001 Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I believe that this is the first one that we have missed. I would, however, like to extend our heartiest congratulations to all of the inductees of 2001. Each of you are very deserving of this recognition, and the city of Reading is proud of you. Our thanks and congratulations also to the committee who worked so diligently to put this program together. We in the city of Reading are fortunate to have such dedicated citizens who are willing to give their time and talents to recognize the accomplishments of others. Congratulations are in order also to Mr. Jim Bergstreet, a Reading alumni member of the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame, who will be inducted into the Hamilton County Sports Hall of Fame in May. Go Blue Devils, sincerely, Earl and Leslie Schmidt. I'd like to also introduce some of the other officials that are here tonight. Councilman Tom Pennekamp. Councilman Bo Bemis. Councilman Jim Penny. Councilman Kevin Parker. Councilman Ken Norton. Worker Council Pat Lappel. And at this time, the President of Council, Albert Emlinger, to read the proclamation to the City Council.
It's my distinct pleasure and honor to represent the City Council this evening, reading this resolution of the past the last month. And the one that I picked up is the one for John Vance. And it reads following this is resolution of 2001 that is resolution honoring John Vance for his induction in the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame. Whereas John Vance graduated in 1991 from Reading High School, where he excelled in football and wrestling. And whereas John Vance was football MVP in 1989 and 1990, and was named All-CHL First Team Offense, All-CHL Second Team Defense, CHL Offensive Player of the Year, All-Southwest Ohio First Team, All-Ohio First Team Running Back, and played in the East-West All-Star Game in 1990. And whereas John Vance was voted Most Improved Wrestler in 1991, piled a career record of 48-11, earned league, sectional, district championship, and qualified for state in 1991. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Reading, Ohio, wishes to congratulate John Vance upon his induction into the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame, on his many achievements and accomplishments, and for bringing honor upon himself, family, and his community. And I'd just like to say a hearty congratulations to John, Shaun, Rick, Mark, and Jeff. Congratulations.
Well, let's move on to the inductions of our Hall of Fame members of the class of 2001. Some of these young men and middle-aged men are looking forward to this. Our first inductee tonight is Jeffrey Bullock from the class of 1965. Jeff earned 8 letters in 3 sports during his career. He was a standout in football as an offensive lineman and a linebacker, earning all-league honor mention in his junior year. After being named co-captain for the 1964 season, he earned all-league honors in football on both offense and defense, as well as being named All-Southwestern Ohio on offense and All-City and Fire Coach on defense. He also wrestled as a heavyweight for the 1965 league camps, finishing with a 15-3 record. After graduation from Reading, Jeff played 1 year of college football at Kent State. He then joined the United States Marine Corps from 1966 to 1968, serving in Vietnam in 1968. In 91, Jeff earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Transportation, graduating cum laude. He's married to Ann, who is a school teacher, and he works for the Norfolk Southern Corporation as a railway operator. Jeff is also a Legacy Hall of Famer. His mother is Betty Jean Bullock, who's the sister of Herb, Don, and Richard, who are all Hall of Fame members. I present to you Jeffrey Bullock from the class of 65.
Accept my award and induction on behalf of all the linemen who've ever played for Reading. I was a football lineman, a lot of times backs and receivers, quarterbacks get the award. And they should. Those are the people who scored a touchdown and catch a touchdown pass, for a touchdown pass. Next time you go to a football game, I'd like you to watch the line of scrimmage. You'll usually see who's going to win the football game. I see some great men in the audience today, and I'd like to accept the award for all of them that include us. Now, I'd like to thank some people. I'd like to thank all my coaches, especially head coach Pat Bullock, who's my coach through all 4 years I played in the Blue Devils, and assistant coaches Jim Booth, Jim Ray, and Mark Shep. And also wrestling coaches Jim Ray and Don Oakley. And I'd like to thank all the teachers at Reading for giving me an education. Sometimes we forget that we go to school to get an education too, besides playing football and wrestling. And my wife is in the audience, and she is a school teacher, and I'm very proud of her. And because of my educational training, I was able to further my education in college. Taking the crash course, I started at Penn State in 1965 and finished at UC in 1991. It's 26 years later. Now it's time to honor some teams that I played on. I played on one football team that never got any respect. It was a rather dangerous type team. It was a 1962 Reading High School football team. We didn't win the league, and nobody played in the pros. But we only lost 3 games that year. We lost to an undefeated Princeton team, undefeated, unsorted upon Wyoming team, and also a real good Mount Healthy team. And we won 6 games. In 1962, the Reading was a real good football team. Nobody remembers. We had great team leadership by the seniors on that team. Nobody was here for the senior class, so I'd like to mention some names. Blaine Canton was all lead. Rick Herbstreit played quarterback. Jim Owens was a fullback. Dan Woodruff, Bob Stacy, Jerry Ross, Jerry Anderson, and Bob Lott. We also had a great group of junior players that became all league players their senior year. Bill Underwood was not here with us tonight, and then 2 linemen played with us, very tough football players. Gary Colburn and Mike Prater were in the audience from that team. Mike came all the way from Houston, Texas. The thing I remember about this team was a team of third downs. We weren't the biggest team in the league. We weren't the fastest team. But when we came up 33, our backs got 40 yards. And when the other team came up 32, we held them 1 yard. And there were 2 sophomores that played quite a bit on that team. Myself, I was stopping to start both ways every game as a sophomore. And the other sophomore that started every game, or either started or played every game, was Roger Spencer. He was also a future All-NBI All-City player. I had a program at home for the Reading Lockman game, and it says Reading versus Lockman. But then I was concerned about the date. It says October 22nd, 1962. That was a key day to the Cuban Missile Crisis. President Kennedy made a naval blockade. The Russian ships were stealing towards the blockade. And we were about to lose the Congress. But nobody cared about that because the Lockman Stadium was full. And Rick Herbstreit ran in 1-yard option play. The record 6'6" high. And it was running 14, Lockman 6. And that was a great team. It was a good team to play on. And I like to honor that team. Now, my senior year, when I won most of the awards, we had a team that only won 3 games. There were 3 real good victories. A 36-0 victory to finish the season over Harrison. A 42-0 victory over Mount Healthy. And one of the best games I've ever had the privilege to play in was a 16-0 victory opening the season over the Preston Vikings. And my co-captain that year, Roger Spencer, was a very good player also. I'd like to honor him. He was a triple threat man. Run, pass, or kick. not here today, but I want to say something to honor him. And last but not least, the 1965 wrestling team I played on won the Bullock County Wrestling Association. We had the best record in the association, on a 15-3 record. Now we played 3 GCL teams that year and had victories overall. Elmer, St. Matt's, and Vance. Some of the wrestlers on that team were Brett Hutchinson, Paul Northleaf, Bob Williams was here today, and he was a good wrestler for us. Jim Baird, Mike Langford, Irvin Humphrey, and myself. And in 1965, we got a real good wrestling team. Those other things didn't get any respect. And that's it for me. I'd like to thank everybody for this award and my affectionate present.
Our next inductee is from the class of 1989, Shaun Schiller, who was a tight end and had an outstanding football career at Reading High School, racking up over 1,300 receiving yards and catching 17 TDs in his junior and senior year, while averaging over 20 yards per catch. Then I didn't know you threw the ball that much. Okay, well, you had a good one. At the time, it was 20 yards per catch. Ken talked a little bit about Shaun and his opening remarks. Coach Miner was quoted as saying he's the best tight end that I've ever coached at Reading High School. He's blessed with size, speed, strength, great athletic ability, excellent hands, and intelligence. So for the class of 1989, Shaun Schiller.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out this beautiful day. My beautiful short little series, so I'm driving up too long. I want to thank everybody in the committee, the city for nominating and electing us to the Proclamations. It's a tremendous honor to have some place to be in Westfield that you're part of. Even though we're not involved in all those things, it's nice to have you. That's what I'd like to thank Coach Meyer and Coach Hamel for your great season this year. Lots of stuff here, I wish I could have seen some of it, but I think we'll have a lot of pictures of that next couple of years, especially Coach Steve Brown. Congratulations, supporting. I remember as a player, actually the whole scenario with Vance, the next strength, and so we felt a little special as players where cardboard things, you can't get over your shoulders and get over your hips. Not very fun time. This is an honor to me that I thought about for a while, what I've been talking about. I think the most things that I can think of is the friendships, the memories I get from this time of my life, all the wars I've opened, and all the opportunities I've had because of this. I have an outstanding amount of friends here that really honor me tonight by being here. My parents, my family, very, very special. I wasn't sure what this was going to turn out like. I'm very impressed. It's an honor that I can't begin to describe. As far as my career at Reading, I always thought that I had more to give. It didn't seem like I was always that I ever gave. I always thought there was something more I could give. In fact, I remember often Coach Meyer before one of our big games my senior year, he crossed tracks as I just referred to it, just an honor. Coach. I remember he pulled me out of the creek. I used to get quite worked up before games, and I had panting, sweating, and out of breath before we even began the game. It took a little bit out to want to get the games. So I always felt that even though I felt like I was giving it all, it always seemed like I needed to give more. And it was a very, very special moment for me. I have great memories of talking with my friend Mike right now, and together we've done several things together. Time away from school. And we always seem to come back to football. There's so many special memories. There's little things that I always remember that we always talk about and look to come back to. And it's like you were there yesterday. It's a great gift. I would like to thank also Mike and Shaun, not so much as him being anyone that's Mr. Bullock described, but he was a top tenacious player. I've heard many things about the fellow inductees, all good things. Have legends never had a chance to meet them. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Shaun. On all the thing inductees, I have kind of a script to read. The next young man I'm going to introduce, and that's one of the reasons I'm here tonight. I said that at the beginning because of Mark. And I'm not going to read the script. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about Mark and what he meant to Reading High School, and what he meant to me as a coach and as a teacher. Mark Swanner played football and baseball at Reading High School. Was outstanding in football, as Coach Miner said. I guess he was, since I was the voice of the Blue Devils, I guess Mark was I don't know if he was a tailback, but he looked more like a fullback, and he was just as Ken said, one heck of a linebacker. Had a great football career. But for me, Mark played 3 years of varsity baseball for me as a catcher. The 3 teams he played for, the 78, 79, and 80 teams, with any kind of luck. And when you get in a one-and-out tournament like baseball is or basketball is at the state level, anything can happen. Those 3 teams could very easily won 3 consecutive state titles in a row. On Mark's team, his senior year, we won the state title. Mark, in all the years that I coached at the high school level and at the college level, Mark Swanner is by far one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen as a player on the baseball field. Mark came to every practice ready to play. He came to every game ready to play. As I said, I keep statistics on all these guys. I was down in my basement, kind of sitting down there, kind of going through some things. It brought back some great memories. And Mark, I believe, overall his career hit over 360. I think in his 3-year varsity career, he had probably nearly 80 RBIs, double-figure career in home runs. And I believe his 3-year, the type of winner Mark was, the 3-year career for that team was like 73 and 19. Which that's pretty good. That's pretty good in baseball. There's not many teams that do that. So I take kind of a personal responsibility for Mark because I kind of watched him grow. I watched him grow as a freshman. When he moved up to the varsity as a sophomore. A couple of his players that played with him are here tonight. Guy Wilburn, who was Willie, you want to stand up, was a year ahead of Mark, was a senior in 79. Our starting third baseman and graduate, Billy Marshall, there saw Bill. Bill, you want to stand up? Mark's partner in crime for 3 years, Steve Engel. Steve's here. I can go on and on about Mark. Mark, when I left, went to the University of Tennessee to coach, and I came back to the University of Cincinnati. Mark was leaving Wright State. His career was over. Mark came down and was one of my assistant coaches. We didn't have the money. I mean, they didn't give us any money, so we gave Mark a little bit of money. He came down, and one of the reasons Mark came down, I think, was his kind of loyalty to me, and also my loyalty to him. And he did a great job for us. Mark, I know he's doing well. He's got a great family. Mark would have been an outstanding coach if he ever decided to get into the business of coaching or anything like that. And before Mark comes up, several weeks ago I was asked, when I was at Harrison High School, I was asked to induct one of the players who played for me at Harrison in my first year. Kid name was not kid anymore, it's Gene Ziegler. And I was a 23-year-old head baseball coach right out of college. And I said to Gene at that time, and I say the same thing to Mark and the guys that played for me in Reading, I owe them a big thank you because they kept me in coaching. They kept me, made it enjoyable for me. We won an awful lot. We learned a lot of baseball, and we played hard. But they kept me in the baseball game for over 20 years. And I don't think that there's ever a fitting award for a young man to be inducted into his high school Hall of Fame. And that's one of the greatest competitors and one of the finest football and baseball players that Reading High School's ever had, Mark Swanner.
Baseball and football through my high school career, and it was team sports. Without great teammates and great coaches behind me, I wouldn't be out there tonight. I'd like to thank Steve and Billy and Willie and Eric, Fred, Kenny Woods, all the guys out there. Thanks for being great teammates. Reading always had great athletics, and I think one of the main reasons from all the different organizations we had as we were growing up, from Reading Little League football, BYOs, to the non-football teams. I'd like to thank all those coaches who, when we were young, put in all the time and the efforts, making us the athletes we are today. I got a little story on one of our coaches, our Little League coaches. Might be the best kicker in Reading. Everybody knows he can play football. He's probably the best, if not the best, wrestling coach in the state. You guys probably didn't know that Big Angle, he was a hell of a baseball coach. He was the first coach to ever win a non-whole state championship as we were growing up. Big always worked third shift. He'd always tell us to be down the ball line at 8 o'clock in the morning when I got off work. I'll swing by if we got enough guys down there. We'll hit some feet or hit some grounders. Every day, if you come down there, we gave 9, 10 guys down there, which was a great honor. And I don't know how much money he made, but after every practice, we take him hawks up there, the Christians up there in Blue Ash, and 7, 8 of us, we begin big boy platters and balls, and he loved to come out there, but the shirt on his back sometimes. I don't want to say this one. I was going to talk about the old driving stories, Vicki, when we saw Kyle in a car, you and Don will take us to the drive-in, you give us $10 and tell us to take off for a while. I'd like to recognize my family. My brother Mike, which I was honored to play with my sophomore year. He was a senior. I played on the football team with him. My sister Karen, she was always an athlete. If it wasn't for Carrie, I probably wouldn't have got through high school. I know I wouldn't have got to college. High school was a toss up there. My wife Joey, my kids, Randy, Paige, and my big crying boy, Big Jake, my boy, and I guess the biggest fan us kids could ever have was our mom. Mom never missed a game from Pee-wee to college. I've been playing down in college baseball in Florida. I don't know if I've been saying that there to Mom. She didn't miss a beat. Well, the one that she ever missed, I think, was my brother's wrestling matches. She'd sit there through the whole match, and when it was time for Mike to wrestle, she'd have to go to the lobby. She couldn't stay in the watch anymore. So, Mom, thanks for all the support. There's a couple coaches that influenced me on and off the field. They're great men. A lot of fun I've stayed with through all the years of my career. In closing, I'd like to talk about two men. They're not here tonight. First guy, used to write letters in college, always stayed in touch, and he's always worried about me, always worried about keeping my grades up, and mainly keeping out of trouble. Can't say enough about this man. Jim Shaver, he was special. I miss him, and the whole city of Reading, the whole Reading High School organization miss him. He was one heck of a man. Finally, I'd like to thank one main person. Growing up as a kid, I didn't see very much of him. You always had to work first shift, weekends, holidays. Friday night when that ball was kicked, or during the week when that first ball was thrown, he was always in the stands. Woody Swanner was my worst critic, my toughest coach, and my biggest fan. I miss him. His love and support was second to none to us. And on behalf of my dad, my mom, my family, my teammates, my coaches, I greatly appreciate this support. Thank you.
Our next inductee is John Vance in the class of 1991. He was a 6 foot, 185-pound running back who racked up over 2,000 yards rushing in the 1989 and 1990 seasons, averaging over 6 yards per carry and scoring a career total of 24 touchdowns. In his senior year, he also led the team in tackles with a record-setting 140. John garnered a number of honors, including Reading High School Athlete of the Year, 1990-91, Team Most Valuable Player, All-League in football, first team offense, and second team defense. Cincinnati Hill League Offensive Player of the Year, and All-Southwest Ohio first team and All-Ohio first team offense in 1990. John also played in the 1990 East-West All-Star game. He also was an outstanding wrestler, winning the league sectional district championship at 171 pounds and qualified for the state in 1990-91. He finished with a wrestling career mark of 48-11 for the Reading Blue Devil wrestling team. So from the class of 1991, John Vance.
Everyone here for coming out tonight. My beautiful girlfriend, Tasha. I get some ground attention. The Hall of Fame committee for electing me into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor. It's something and it's just a great honor. All of my coaches, and I want to name a few in particular, but all of them, I can't name them all. I talk about them all the time. But a few in particular, when I was a freshman, I got introduced to football. I didn't play it when I was a freshman. And I introduced to Coach Bob and Rich Goodhart. I don't think they're here tonight. But they were the ones that they taught me the fundamentals of football, what it's all about, what about being a great football player is. They were great motivators. They taught me things like pride, intensity, dedication to Reading football, giving everything you had, and leaving it on the field. They didn't tell me teach you through words, they taught through actions. And the little story is, in my first scrimmage as a football player, I've never done it before, and I was a fullback at that time. And scrimmage, the coaches were on the field with me. And we ran a power play, and everybody plays football knows that. The fullback kicks out in the end, and he got stepped across, and I laid him out. He was flat. I turned around, and there's Coach Goodhart, Coach Rich Goodhart, smacked me on the side of the head and about knocked me out. And I would never forget that 3 plays I couldn't hardly see. It just showed me how intense they were about the sport, and it taught me a lot. Second, I'd like to talk about Coach Minor a little bit. I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for Coach Minor.
my number so many times and giving me the ball. He had a great playbook. He was a great motivator. Taught strong principles in the game of football. Evidence of the great playbook he has is when I got to play for him. He coached me in the All-Star game, his first game. The final score of that game was 35-0. They did not stop us. So I thought it was pretty amazing. The next coach I want to talk about is Coach Tik He coached me in football and wrestling. In football, he was the running backs coach, which was my position. He taught me a lot of great drills, and he worked us hard. He ran the defense. I got to call plays, so I got to be real close to him. But one of the most memorable things that happened to me when he was coaching football was when he taught me to wrestle. And this is a quote that I remember. He just pulled me aside one day and said, Vance, you should wrestle. He said, just imagine this. You come off the mat, just kick some guy's butt. There's blood running down your arm and ripping his face off with a crosshair. And, 16, 17-year-old kid, that sounds pretty cool. So I wrestled that season. Coach Hagen was still coaching me today. I coached wrestling with him at high school. And he's taught me so much stuff about, teaching kids how to motivate them, the ins and outs of it, what kids need to push it this way, what kid needs to bring it out a little bit, or what kid you pull aside and just talk to them. And I consider Dick one of my best friends. Thanks, Coach. Next, I'd like to thank my teammates that I played with. A bunch of them are here. I'd like to say their names. Eric Covey, Rich Robbins, Devin Brown, Jason Burke, Robert Lee, Travis Phelps, Scott Coleman, Dave Donato, Rob Schiller, John Toledo, Shaun. There's some guys back there. I didn't get their names out because they didn't graduate with me. But they always say, coaches say that you're as good as you practice with. And you got to bust my butt every day, and I thank you for it. You guys should be in the whole thing with me as well. Last, I'd like to thank my family. My grandparents, they never missed a game. They were always there. I never had to worry. There's so many guys play with it. The kids' parents aren't there, everybody's there watching. I didn't even have to worry. I didn't have to look at anything. I just knew they were there. My brother, Justin, he played with me. He was probably the reason I was so competitive, because having a younger brother that's 10.5 months younger than you, you gotta beat him up a little bit, It's a little rough, you can't let him win. So that's where I learned to be competitive. Lastly, thank my mom and dad. They never missed a game, no matter where it was, how far to drive, if it was at the state meet or whatever. Something they said to me when I was really young, and it stuck with me, was, I think I was going to kindergarten, and they told me that whatever you do, just do your best and we'll be happy with it. And to me, that's the same thing as the greatest coaches motto, give 110%. And to me, they're the greatest coaches ever, and my parents. And I thank them for that. Before I sit down, I want to say a couple things about high school sports. I think it's a great tool to teach kids about life, teach them things like teamwork, commitment, dedication, discipline, things you need, tools you need to make it happen. Teach kids off the streets how to trouble, and I want to ask everyone here, if you know someone, you know a kid, you know how to play a sport, go talk to them, get them out for a team. If they keep out of trouble, you might just create a positive change in their life. And in closing, I'd like to thank you all again and thank the committee. Thanks.
Well, I never coached football, but listening to Jeff, John, and Shaun, and Rick as our next inductee as a college football coach, it's not that difficult. You only play one game a week, okay? And then these are good examples. If you got a guy who can run it, what do? You give it to him. You don't have anybody who can run it, you throw it. everybody with headsets and everything like that. It's a simple game. Right, Jeff? Block and tackle. Right, Mark? Block and tackle. Catch it, run with it. Right? You're right. You ride them all the way. That's what you do. When you don't have them, you have to do other things. That's right. Okay. Our final inductee of the evening is from the class of 1971. And obviously, Rick Christophel is from a great name in running athletics. Father Bob's a Hall of Famer. Brother Randy's a Hall of Famer. Another brother Robbie played football and played baseball for me here at Reading. I first met Rick when he didn't play for me. He pitched for Ron Tucker. And we played him twice a year, I believe. And Rick brought this man up to me, and it is a true story. He threw his fastball across the seams, and he threw his curveball on the seams. Every time he pitched against us, we stole 100% of his pitches. Sometimes, even though we stole 100% of his pitches, we still couldn't get him. So that's when I first met, was introduced into the Christophel family. And again, my coach at UC, Rick was on the staff with Watson Brown. Were they a week? Were you there a week? 2 weeks? Something like that. They came through the season. So I've known Rick for a number of years. Rick joined, as I said, his father, brother, member of the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame. And a family of great athletes, Rick was no exception. He earned 8 varsity letters in 3 different sports during his career, gaining all-star recognition in both baseball and football. Rick pitched the baseball team to the conference championship in 1969 and a district title in 1971, earning Hamilton County Suburban League All-Star honors in 1971. He was also an outstanding quarterback, excellent quarterback. He was named football captain of all the University of All-City Cincinnati Post. He played his college career 4 years at Austin Peay State University. In 1974, he was named second team all-conference. During his senior year, Rick was twice named player of the week in the Ohio Valley Conference. His physical attributes weren't the only thing that Rick had going for him. He was named the Honor Society in his junior and senior years. He parlayed his passion for football and his intelligence with a career as a football coach. He started out at Highland High School with a team on a state title in 1977. He moved up the coaching ladder with positions at Austin Peay, Southern Arkansas, the University of Cincinnati, Rice, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where he's currently the offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, and wide receivers coach under Watson Brown. Whoever said football coaches were gypsies. Rick is a success in life also. He's been married to his wife Connie for 27 years and has 3 daughters, Chrissy, and twins Connie and Sarah. Chrissy and Connie have continued the Bristol tradition, signing softball scholarships to play at UAB. Rick, you're going to have to bring them back to Reading High School. If you want any more Christophels to get into the Hall of Fame, you got to continue the legacy. My pleasure to introduce Rick Christophel.
I appreciate those kind words on a football coach that we talked for years ago. We're supposed to cover the guy in football, don't cover all the other guys. The tackle guy in handball, so don't worry about our place. Been saying that for years. Randy, I know why now, I think about why much time I haven't worked about my speaking, so it's got to eliminate about 10 minutes of my speech. You got to get out of here about 9:30. As you know, coaches get a little long with it. I know Richard said that, but when coaches get up on the microphone, they get a chance to talk. They get a little long with it. First off, I'm directly on the classes up here at the stage. Tremendous honor. And welcome, I know you didn't do the good time. I played for him, and he was good to me. I apologize right now because I'm going to leave somebody out that I probably should recognize. And I
we were very fortunate to, we needed off the practice field yesterday at about 4 o'clock, and we got up about 5 o'clock this morning, and flew up, got there around 5 back tomorrow. So if I leave somebody out, I apologize. I'd like to thank the veterans for the Lynn High School Sports Hall of Fame induction in veterans. It's a great honor. The things I've been able to do the last 25 years of coaching, this is a special occasion. I've been in a lot of places and a lot of banquets. The turnout here, the support, when you induct somebody in the Hall of Fame, it's just not the person you induct, it's the families, it's the people that support the program, it's everybody involved that should also be part of that Hall of Fame. So y'all should be very fortunate to give yourself applause and a good pat on the back. I'd like to thank Mr. Ken Conrad, Mr. Dick Jones, Coach Ron Cutter, for setting up the banquet. It's an honor. I've known all of them. 2 of them coaching and they're still alive. So we'll be around. I'd like to thank Bill Dress, who go to me for free, about 10 years now. I get myself ready for the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame has always been offered in the fall, and it's kind of tough to break away with your football coach in your middle of the season, trying to get prepared to play LSU's, Penn State, Florida State, to break away and get here. So it's tough. Like I said, it's a special occasion for myself, it's a special occasion for my family. My dad, who taught me to be patient, he taught me to learn the game. He taught me to have rapport with my players. My dad coached me at a very early age. And the thing I remember about that is that he was very calm. Today, sometimes when I know that, he was very calm, poised, and patient. And that taught me a lot. I remember that. My mother was the one who taught me to go after the judgment when you get a chance. She taught me to tell it like it was. She taught me to never quit. She taught me to never give up. My Uncle Ed, he was like a big brother. He was always there. My brothers, I got a chance to coach both of them. I got a chance to coach both of them. It's a unique opportunity. They both do a lot more than I did when I was coaching. That gives you an idea. But they were good players. I've got a great family. I've been coaching for 25 years, been married for 27. How I don't know. My wife always followed me all over the country. When Coach Shitty read all those places I've been, you think I couldn't keep a job. Sometimes that's true. But my wife, Connie, we met at school, and she's my best friend. People like her. I come home and tell her stuff that as coaches you can't tell anybody else. And it took me a long time to realize that. And she is. And I love her for that. My oldest daughter, Chrissy, was born in 1977 when we were playing for the state championship at Highland High School. She was born on Thursday, I coached on Friday. It's been that way ever since. My wife says, I want it to snow, and y'all remember 1977, it snowed. We got 25 inches of snow in 24 hours. We got 70 days straight, 32-degree weather below. So it snowed. My oldest daughter, Chris, graduated from UAB in March, getting married in June. My twins, our twins, Carrie and Sarah, they are just started 18 last week. They'll graduate this spring, this May, from Inductee High School. They signed softball scholarships to play at UAB, one second base and one third base. So I'm very fortunate to have that. And the last 7 years I've been at UAB, and we started a program there in Division I. Very fortunate the last 5 years with some players that were really some class players. We went 7-4 this next season, just going to a bowl. Arkansas and Ole Miss won the last 2 weeks of the season, and we went to Las Vegas ball. So we've been very fortunate. I think Coach Sheen said it best, to be a good coach in any baseball, football, basketball, no matter what it is, you have good players. Good players and good coaches. And that's one of the reasons he's not down here tonight. Another reason is that I was fortunate to have good coaches at the high school level. I want to say thank you, I appreciate you, and everybody have a good night.
evening. How about a nice round of applause for all of you? Before I bring Rick up for some closing remarks, I'd like to introduce the Hall of Fame Committee. It's obviously a big part of the program that goes on here every year. Ron Cutter, these gentlemen will stand. Gary Edwards. Gary Edwards, we're not here yet, that's why he's still back there. Dick Jones. Ken Conrad. Rick Conrad. Bill Lawson. Thank you, those gentlemen. Again, I'd just like to thank everybody for attending tonight, for bring Rick up again for some closing remarks. It was a real special honor for me to be back here tonight, to be the master of ceremonies. But I know Reading High School is getting a little smaller. I know the student population's got smaller. But I think Rick mentioned this. He's been a lot of places in his coaching career. I haven't quite been as many places as Rick has been, but I've been a few places myself. And you really have something special here at Reading. You really do. You have some great kids go through here, obviously students and athletes, and I'm sure you still have some great students and athletes who are still up there. You have fine coaches that have dedicated themselves to the students and the families of the Reading community. So I would hope that you would continue your support of those programs, as Steve said, because these gentlemen and the ones that you've honored in the past and their teammates and families are great examples of the quality and excellence of Reading City Schools, Reading High School. Thank you very much.
Thanks to all of you. I know it's been a long night, so I'm going to be very brief. I'll skip the disclaimers to Wyoming High School and Charlie Irwin and get right down to the thank yous. On behalf of the Reading High School Sports Hall of Fame, I would like to thank all of you for your attendance at this, our 16th annual event. We would also like to thank the City of Reading for providing us with the use of this fine facility. Thank you to Jim Rack and his staff for their hard work, setting up tables, chairs, and banners. Special thanks goes out to our sponsors, the ones in the program that you have in front of you. Without their support, this event could not be sustained. Our congratulations go once again to our outstanding list of inductees, and our thanks to our MC, Coach Tom Higgins. We would also like to thank our volunteer workers, Lynn Jones, Scott Jones, Jill Jones, Gary Edwards, Pauline Edwards, Dottie Conrad, Bill Dress. Thanks to Al Wiley and his wife for their work on the cameras, filming the event. We sure do appreciate that. We want to remind everyone there are ballots on the tables. Please fill one out, nominate a deserving person so that we can keep this event going. Also, this event is of course televised and will be shown on cable, and there are schedules on the tables and there's some on the back table as well. I would also like to remind everyone to please remember to visit the High School Hall of Fame display, Reading Junior and Senior High School gym lobby. It's one of the most impressive High School Hall of Fame displays in the entire tri-state area. We wish to thank the school board and Reading High School for allowing us to use that facility for that Hall of Fame display. We also wish to congratulate Reading High School Hall of Fame member Jim Herbstreit for his selection into the Hamilton County Hall of Fame. His induction takes place May 19th, St. Pat's Day of C. You can contact Rick Jones for tickets. We have a couple of new developments that I'll finish up with, and we'll get on with the evening. Say goodnight to all of you. First of all, we are in the 21st century, and Hall of Fame now has a webpage and an email address. It is rhshalloffame at americaonline.com. It's all one word. Or you can access our webpage through the Reading High School alumni website at readinghighschool.com. And it's a great website if you're an alumni. Make sure you check that out. It's worth your while to visit and get your name listed under as an alumni if you are one. Scott Renninger runs that and does a terrific job on it. Last but not least, I want to mention a few words about the Kenneth Power scholarships, which were established this school year on behalf of the Hall of Fame. Due to the success of this event over the years and the generosity of our sponsors, we have generally operated this event on a surplus. Over the years, we've made purchases with this money, such as lockers for the football stadium, camera equipment for the high school media center, signage at Cannon Park, and improvement and upgrades for the Hall of Fame display. In the future, with part of this surplus, we will be providing scholarships to a senior male and female student athlete to assist them in offsetting college expenses. This scholarship is presented in the memory of a man who, for 4 decades, was the symbol of Reading High School sports, a man who taught fundamentals not only in sports but also in life, Kenneth Powers. It is our great pleasure to announce the winners of this year's inaugural scholarships, Tara Dixon and Andy Grant. One last thing, we have some forms in the back, the Walk of Fame forms. If you want to put a brick in the walkway up at the high school as an alumni or whatever, they have a walkway that they put in now, and they do have forms for you to order those bricks, and we urge any and all of you who wish to take a form with you and do so. Once again, on behalf of the Reading High School Hall of Fame, thank you all for being here. We hope you had a good time.